Today we are here, Cassville Art Education. We're going to do a video on digital self-portraits. And those are the self-portraits are going to be done digitally on the iPad Pro, and these are the larger, they're like 8.5 by 11, I think is how they say they are, but they're basically a full sheet size iPad in order to do self-portraits on. Okay, so again, half and half self-portraits. What essentially we're going to do is we'll take a picture. You'll cut the picture in half. Half the picture will be a photo, half you'll end up drawing. Okay, so to do that, I have a direction sheet, and on the direction sheet it says half and half self-portrait, and this will go through every single step that you'll need in case you forget from this video exactly how to do the process. Okay, so I'm just going to follow this sheet and show you exactly how to do this. So I'll try to set this offside as far as possible, so maybe it's not distracting, but we'll see. Okay, so we're going to use two programs. We're going to use Photoshop and we're going to use Procreate. So we want to open up the iPad. With the iPad, the login passcode is 112233. Do this process. So if you look at the apps within the iPad, I know this one's a little bit distracting to tell because I have a photograph of my daughter's team in the backdrop. Yeah, my son's in there too. But anyway, so it's a little bit hard to see the apps, but on here there'll be an app, and in this case it's in the art app or art window. Okay, you may have to scroll side to side in order to find those. A lot of times they'll dock it down here at the bottom. Okay, but nonetheless, somewhere in here there'll be this, and then there are two apps in here. We are not using iMovie. Okay, we're using PS Express, which is Photoshop Express, and we're using the Procreate app. Okay, so the very first app we want to use is we want to use the Photoshop app. So we're going to go to the Photoshop Express app, and we're going to open that up. Okay, if for some odd reason it doesn't open up and it doesn't allow you to make adjustments to photos or take photos, please let me know, and I will make sure that we open up the settings and whatnot in order to make that happen. Okay, so with the app open, there will be some suggestions on how to run the app. We'll just continue through that, and what it's going to do is it's going to open up right away a library of all the photos on the iPad. Now we don't want these photos, we want to take our own photo. So to do that, we are going to go to Recents, and we're going to drop down the Recents button. Okay, and then once in the Recents button, we are going to go to the camera. Now we want to, so if you look here, there's Recents, Camera, Album, and then a few other different buttons within the Recents. We want to go to the camera, so we're going to push Camera, which is the one at the top in the middle. Okay, and it's going to open up the camera. Now when it opens up the camera, it's going to open up so that the camera on the back side of the iPad is the one actually taking the photograph. Okay, now we don't want to do that. We want to take a picture of ourselves. So all we have to do is press the button up here on the upper right corner. We want to press that, and it's going to take and turn the camera so that the camera right here is facing up, and that's the one now viewing. And you can see here it's viewing the camera up above that's doing my editing, or my filming my video. Okay, and you kind of see the top of my head. So again, I want to push that, and I want it to face towards me. Okay, so reverse the camera, it's called. Now we're going to go somewhere where there's decent light. Okay, and we're going to take a picture of ourselves. Now, when we take a picture of ourselves, I don't know if you can kind of see it, but we want to take a picture where we're kind of zoomed in. So I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of myself here, and I'll explain exactly how we want the picture to look. Okay. Now, once you took the photograph, okay, so we switched the camera, we took the photograph. I'm going to show you the photograph and how I want you to take it. So down here in the bottom left corner was our actual photograph. We push that, and it'll bring us into editing mode. Okay, now you can see my picture from the camera there, and you can see what I did was I kind of, so like the majority of my neck, and then you can see my face kind of fills the whole screen area. So that's how I want you to take the photograph, okay? Now you notice when you take the photograph it's going to be in color. Well, we can't draw with a pencil in color. Well, we can, I guess, in Procreate, but we're not going to. We just want to draw in black and white. Okay, so we took the picture. We had the picture kind of where we want it to be. You can see some of my setup for my videoing in the background. It doesn't really matter what's in the background. If you want to go against a whiteboard or something like that, it's, you know, probably more ideal than having other stuff in the background. But nonetheless, basically the image of my face. Now you can see my lighting isn't the best. All my lighting comes down to the table. Okay, so when I took this picture, the lighting wasn't faced on me, so it's not very good. But we want to make sure our lighting is better. Okay, so we click the image at the bottom of the screen, bottom left corner. This puts the image into Photoshop. Okay. So take a photo with the camera, good self-portrait. So we talked about how the self-portrait should look. Turn the photo to black and white. So to do that, down here at the very bottom, if we scroll right or left, okay, it's going to give us different options of different editing things we can do. Now we're going to go right here to the one that says BNW. That's black and white. Okay, we're going to click that. And it's going to give us lots of different options here for different hues and whatnot within the black and white spectrum. Okay, we want to choose the one, okay, that says low contrast black and white. Low contrast black and white. So it's going to be basically if you scroll over, it's going to be second to N1 before you get to like portrait and some other editing. Okay. Again, it just extends the black and white button out and gives us different options. So we're going to choose this one where it says low contrast black and white, and it's going to change our image to black and white. Now again, my light wasn't great. Make sure your light's better, but nonetheless you can see it turned my face to black and white. Okay, so next thing we want to do is we want to crop the image. Now to crop the image, there's more buttons down here on the bottom. Okay, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different buttons. If we go from the left to the right, so 1, 2, 3, the third button has this kind of square looking thing with little tabs that stick out on two corners. Okay, we want to press that. And what it's going to do is going to bring this grid pattern up over top of our face. And what we can do is we can grab the very ends and we can slide that in, and we want to crop pretty close to our face. Okay. And you want to do both sides. Now don't come in and cut your ear and your hair and stuff off. Just get fairly close. Okay, if you have too much neck showing, you can crop up on the neck. Alright, and if you have too much of the background at the top showing, you can kind of crop down on it. And so the darker section around the outside is what's going to be cropped off. The lighter image with the grid, that's what's going to be our final image. Okay, so now we want to go to the the editing button. The editing button is the far left one here in the very bottom, and we want to push that, and it's going to crop our image and zoom in on it. Okay. Our next step is to go to the import icon. So to do that is the upper right corner. You see a bunch of buttons up here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons. We want to be from the right to the left. We want to be the second one to the left, and we'll push that button. And it's going to bring up a window that looks like this. Okay. At the very top is our image. Below that, there's a bunch of different buttons we can go into for different programming. We don't want to worry about that. And then there's a button right below that that says camera roll. Now that is where we want to put this image. We want to put it into the camera roll. So we'll push that. And what it did is it says here, your photo has been saved to the camera roll. And that is exactly what we wanted it to do. The step would be, is we would go to a desktop, and we want to, before we go to the desktop, we want to send this image via email. So to do that, you back out of Photoshop Express. We want to go to the Settings app. Okay, and down on the settings app, there's a password and accounts. You want to click on that. Okay, and then we want to go here to add account. Now, when we add an account, we want to go to a Google account. Okay, so you click Google. Settings, want to sign Google in, yes. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you an email. So you type in your school email, you go to next, and then you type in your password. Okay, now once we have our email and password in, it's going to be up here. It's going to say cancel Gmail save, and it's going to give us options to save our email. We want to leave it as is with the 3 top buttons in green, and we want to push save. Okay, now it shows us right here Gmail. Our Gmail is logged in and we're set to go. Okay, so now I'm going to back out and we're going to go to the next step. At this point, you want to go to the Mail app. If the Mail app is not up on your iPad, make sure you ask me. We'll change some settings to make sure it's on there. See here under iCloud, so it says accounts, iCloud, Gmail, add account. So we see here the Gmail is my account. Okay, so we can now back out of that. If the Mail app is not up on the iPad, make sure you talk to me. I'll make sure it's on there. But we want to go to the Mail app. What you do is you want to go up here to the New Mail, and we'll click New Mail. All right, and you want to send it to yourself. So in this case, I'd put T-Beer, Cassville, so my school account. All right, and I'm going to put in the subject self-portrait. Down here, under the subject, I'm going to press twice. I'm going to go to Insert, Photo or Video, and I'm going to pick my black and white photo, inserting it into the mail, and then I'm going to press Send and send it to myself. Okay. In this situation, I'm not going to do that because I've already done it. So I'm just going to press Cancel, Delete Draft. All right, and back out. Now, so I have sent this to myself already. I went to the desktop. I opened up the mail. At the desktop, you have to send your image. For some odd reason from the iPad, you have to send it to your drive. And then once in your drive, you can then open it up for printing. Now, when you open up for printing, you go ahead and you print it to the school printer. And you can see mine, I had printed it. Now, once you print it, take and go to the paper cutter and cut around the border for the image that you had on the iPad. Okay? All right, so that is the process for printing yourself a hard copy for doing the artwork. Okay, so we now have that. So I'm going to set that to the side and we'll continue here. Let's see, make sure that to log out of the iPad when finished. So to log out of this, again, I'm going to go to Settings. I'm going to go to Password and Accounts. I'm going to pull up my Gmail. Okay, so that account, under Accounts, iCloud, Gmail, Add Account, I'm going to go to the Gmail account, and I'm going to press Delete Account. Okay, if you don't delete the account, then it'll save all your email in there, and we don't want that. So again, go ahead and delete the account, and then it's out of there, because you've already sent yourself an email. Okay? Let's see, put your image from the email to Docs or Word and print. We already talked about that, okay? Trim the photo with the paper cutter, which we have already done. So again, that's done. Now, next step would be to crop the image to half your face in the Photoshop app. So we're going to go back to the Photoshop app. There we go. So we're going to go to the PS Express, so Photoshop Express app. Resume session. I don't know if it comes up. Yep. Okay, so I just resumed the session because I had previously logged out of it. Okay, so it just brings up my photo again for me, and it's ready to go. Okay, so now I want to crop this image in half. Okay, so again, at the very bottom where those tools are, the third one in, I go to the crop tool, which is that square with the leadings off of each 2 corners. Go ahead and press that, and it'll bring up a crop, that same crop box we talked about before. Okay, it does bring up the border that we originally had. Not a big deal, just leave it there. Okay, but we do want to take and drag It depends on if you're left or right-handed. If you're left-handed, you probably want to drag the left side in because you'll draw with your left hand. In my case, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to drag the right side in. And I'm just going to drag it into about the center of my nose. So about right there. Okay. Now to bring this back into photo editing, I press the far left tool at the bottom. And it'll bring it in, and now it's cropped half. Okay? So I now want to then save the half image to the camera roll. So to do that, again, that box at the top, it's the square box with the arrow pointed up. I press that. It comes into this save window. I'm going to go to camera roll, and it now saved. It says here your photo has been saved to the camera roll. Perfect. That's exactly what we want to do. Okay, now if we back out and we actually go to the camera roll, photo and videos, we go to photos, recents, and we can see here I have a full, so I have my colored image that I originally took. I have my full black and white image that I sent to myself, emailed to myself and printed, and now I have my half image in my camera roll. Alright, so we'll back out of that. Okay. Now the next step is we are going to go to Procreate app. So the Procreate app is again under that art section, and it's this black square box with a swooshy, like rainbow styled swoosh in it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click that to open it, and what it's going to do is it's going to bring me into the main screen where all of the different art pieces that have been worked on within the Procreate app are shown. So the images are all there. Okay, and they're just different files that have been worked on within the Procreate app. Okay, so open a new drawing. Title it as You. So we are going to open a new drawing. To do that, Procreate keeps it pretty easy. At the top right corner there's a plus sign. So we're going to go ahead and press that plus sign. Okay, I'm going to turn my directions over here. Now we want to pick a new canvas. So here it says new canvas. We want to pick a new canvas, and the very top one says screen size. We want to work in this whole full screen size. Okay, so that's the one we want to select. And it takes a second, but it then opens up a drawing space for us in order to do our drawing of our self-portrait. Okay, now we want to go ahead and we now want to insert our half photo that we took, and it's in the camera roll. So to do that, oh, by the way, to get back to the gallery, it says right here in the top left corner, might be hard to see on camera, but top left corner it says gallery. You can click that and it takes you back to the gallery. And remember I said in the last thing when we were making a new canvas we wanted to label it. So right here we can go and click the name underneath and we can label it. And I'll just label it my first name. Here, let's do my last name. So let's just do Mr. Beer. Alright. Perfect. Alright, now to get back into that drawing, I just click the file. It'll take me in. So pretty simple. Alright, so to insert the photo, the half image photo, I go to the wrench tool up here. It's right next to gallery. I go ahead and click that, and it'll open up, and that's called the Actions tool. Okay, so in the Actions tool, I want to insert a file. Now, there's different tools within the Actions tool, alright? These tools here, we're not too worried about if it has one of the other ones selected. We want to select the far left one that says Add. Okay, and when we select that, it'll give us some options. We want to go to Insert a Photo. So we're going to click that. That's the second one down. It'll go into our camera rolls. We want all photos. And then we want to select our half image. And you see it opens it up into Procreate for us. Okay, so inserting the photo, wrench tool, add button, insert the photo, select your half portrait from the file list on the camera roll. Okay, place the photo to one side of the drawing space so you can draw the other side of the image. Size the image to your printed photo. Switch between freeform and magnetic to match your printed half. Okay, so we are going to upsize this to about the same size as our printed image. Okay, you can see here right now so if we even look at like the ear, it looks to be about the same size, so I really don't have to upsize mine at all. Okay, it came in as the right size, but I do want to move it off to the one side. So all I have to do is it is presently in this arrow for us to be able to edit and move the image. Okay, if for some odd reason you get out of that and you go to like the drawing, okay, we can go back in by just pressing that arrow and it'll select it for us again. Okay, now we just want to move this over to the side. If I want to upsize or downsize this, you see there's dots on each corner and on the sides. You can just grab those dots and pull them. You got to make sure you use the corner ones so that it sizes proportionally. Again, mine's the right size, so we're good to go. So I'm just going to make sure that the image is up in the corner, and it's showing for the most part the top of my head. And I don't need to go to the far corner, just over a little bit so I have enough room to draw over here. Okay, but nonetheless, it shows the top of my head, it shows some of my neck, and it's proportionally the same size. Okay. All right, now once I have it, number one, upsized, number two, to the left side of the screen, I go ahead and I'm going to press the paintbrush button, and it actually places it in the image. Okay, now my next step is to take my image and place it over top. And I'm going to line the two sides of the image up. And what I want to do is I can kind of, it's hard to see on camera, but I can see a line that shines through with the light from the iPad. I'm going to put marks from the edge of my half drawing. Okay. All right, so I want marks. Okay, so you can see here I put a mark there and I actually put a mark down here. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to go to the paper cutter and I'm going to cut it right in half. Okay. Once I cut it in half, I'm going to keep the right side because I need the right side as a reference. All right, and the left side, I don't know, you just set it aside or put it in your sketchbook or whatever we need to do in order to keep it out of our way. Okay, so I have now gone to the paper cutter. I followed those two marks that I had put on the paper, and I just cut a straight line with the paper cutter, and I now have two sides. Again, the left side I have on my screen, and this is a half and half self-portrait, so I'm going to draw half of it. So this side I don't need to draw, I do need to draw the right side. So I'm going to set the left side to the side, and this one, if I bring it in here and I put it up to my image, you can see it's actually sized pretty much to the right size. Now, the only thing I'm going to use this piece for is to help me as a guide in order to get the main outlines of the image down. Okay? All right. So, let's see. The camera will place the photo. Use your printed pick to help get the proportions for the side you are drawing, which I already talked about. And the last thing is sketch and use shading techniques to copy the other half of your photo exactly. Put all background info in also. Okay, so if you want to put I'm not going to require the background information. Again, you might choose to take your photo against the whiteboard and then you wouldn't have any background anyway. But the main thing is we want to get our face drawn, and that's the whole purpose to the project. Okay, so to do the drawing, so I'm going to set my half piece to the side. I'm going to take the Apple Pencil. Now, this may be located differently in the different iPads. Some of the cases are slightly different. This one's located right on the side. Okay, at this point though, the iPad may not be reading this. Okay, so what I do is I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to push the button. You can see here as I push the brush button. So on the top of the iPad to the right you have brush. The second tool in you have a smudge tool. Third tool in you have an eraser tool. You have a layers tool, and then you have your colors palette. Okay, I just went to the brush tool, and you can see I click, and it's actually working. My pencil is. So over the time of the iPad sitting there, what it tends to do is it forgets that the pencil is there because it's not being used. So you might have to make sure it's connected. To do that, you pull off the cap at the back. Do not lose the cap. Put it right back on when you're done. Okay, you take the bottom of the iPad, so the plug at the bottom. You plug this in, you wait, I don't know, 2-3 minutes or so, and the iPad will read the pencil again, and then you're set to go. Okay? When you're done, place the cap back on. Do not lose the cap. Okay. Now, to do this drawing, I want to draw as if I was using a pencil. Okay, so I go into the brush tool. I'm going to go to sketching, which is our very top tool. So there's sketching, inking, calligraphy, so on and so forth. It keeps going down the line. All right, we want to go to sketching. And you see here on the right a bunch of different sketching tools come up, and they're just basically different pencils. The second pencil down says an HB pencil. We want to select that. Okay. Now, once that's selected, we can then press the tool again and the selection option goes away. Okay, now on the left-hand side here you have these slide bars. The slide bar is the very top one. If you slide it up or down, makes your drawing pattern either larger or smaller, and the bottom one makes it either darker or lighter. Okay, in this case we're using HB pencil, so we're just making sure they're both slid all the way up and ready to go. Okay, right below those two slide bars there's a little arrow that points backwards. Okay, that little arrow that points backwards, we want to use that in case we mess up. So if I come in and I draw a line. When I tried drawing a line here, it didn't work. That's because right here on my colors palette it is white. I'm drawing on a white background. So you have to select that. We have to move this pointer down to the black section. So in this inside circle, we want to move the dial right here. If I can grab it again, down to the black. And you can see here next to the white palette it becomes black, and then my circle right here is actually black. That's going to allow me then to draw a line. Okay, so if I draw a line I don't want, I can then press this back button and it'll get rid of it for me. Okay, another option is if I draw a line and I don't want it there, I can select the third tool over, which is my eraser tool, and I can come in and go over top of it, and that's how you erase. Okay, now if I draw a line and I want shading, so in my face here a lot of this is shading. Okay, I can go, and if you look here as you're drawing, the lighter you push, the lighter the line is, the harder you push, the darker. If you take and turn your pencil to the side, it will work just like a real pencil, and it'll draw, and the harder you push, the harder it'll go. Okay, so this thing draws pretty much exactly like a real pencil. Okay, again, if I don't want this, press the back button. If I come in and I put down some pencil lead, essentially that's what it is, and I want this smudge so it looks more like a smudgy type shade, I can go to the second tool over here, which is my smudge tool, and I can use the pencil to then blend and smudge the look of the pencil. Okay, so pretty cool. Again, if you wanted to work in layers, you could. You just got to add layers as you go. I don't think that's going to be too critical for what we're doing, but it's a possibility. And if you're interested in that, I can show you. Now, keep in mind as you're drawing here, if you draw over onto the original photo, it will draw over it. Okay, so when you're drawing, you really want to try to keep right next to the line as you go. Okay. All right, so now that I have my pencil selected, the tool that I need, I am ready to go ahead and draw the color I need, which is black. I should be ready. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this over top, and I'm going to line the pieces up. Okay, so you can see there, as I push, it can cause issues for me. Okay, and as I do this, and I have this lined up, okay, I'm just going to flip this backwards as I go. Alright, and I want to just draw the outline. And I won't even hold the bottom edge. I'll just flip it side to side and work on getting just my outline. Keeps messing up my color here for me. Alright. Okay, and I'm going to draw the very outline of my hair. Okay, and if I wasn't doing this video, it'd make it a lot easier to see, okay, as I went. So you can see there, if I take and I flip this, And I might want to move my line in a little bit more. Okay, so I can take and erase it. And I can just move the arch in a little more. Okay, and all you want to do is sketch the outline. Okay, now once you get the outline sketched in, then we just look at our image and we see like the hair and stuff. Okay, we want to bring that in, and we can use our hatching, cross hatching, all our shading techniques we use in order to get the details in. I have a little wisp of hair up here because my hair is so great. All right. Okay, same thing with the nose. If I want to come in here and draw the nose pieces. Okay, and I'm just using my sketching techniques we've learned. Okay, so I'm pretty close there. And I might come in later and do my smudging and shading and whatnot as I go. Okay. Okay, keep in mind an eye is pretty tough. It's an oval shape, but what makes an eye is shading. Okay, so you want to get the shading in there best you can. And I'm just going to do a rough sketch and come in over top and define everything as I go. Okay? So, remember as you're drawing, this will keep it in a gallery. Right? Don't mess with other people's drawing if it's in here. Make sure when you're done at the end of the hour, it goes into the gallery, you exit out, you're not logged in, and the pencil goes with the iPad and gets put away. Okay, now, the very last step, once you have everything drawn, so we'll go back into Procreate here, maybe. Done, we follow the same process we did when we emailed ourselves the, we follow a little bit different process, but we're going to email this, and you email it to me, okay, at my school account, which is tbeer@cassvillesd.k12.wi.us, okay. To do that, you go to the wrench app again, all right, you go to the share tool, okay, and we want to send it as a JPEG. Now, you have to make sure you're logged in as your email. When you press JPEG, it'll dump it into the email, as long as the email app is on there. And you type in my email address and make sure you put in the subject your name so I know it's coming from you. Okay, and send and it'll email to me. All right, and that will be the end of the project. Okay, thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next project.